Hello and welcome. My name is Risa Simon, and I'm the author of Shift Your Fate. And I'm here today to challenge the way you're thinking about your future. And the first question to ponder is this: if you had an opportunity to shift your fate, would you? Would you take the time to implement a plan today that could promise a better tomorrow? Well, that's what I did, and that's what others are doing, and that's what you can do too. This program captures the essential life-changing wisdom taken from my book, Shift Your Fate. And while I wrote the book to help chronic kidney disease patients just like myself at the time, these universal truths can apply to just about anything you want to improve in your life, be it your health, your wealth, your relationships, and so on. So let's begin this program by embarking on the most pivotal point in my life, the tipping point, when I was given a hopeless prognosis, when I was diagnosed with chronic kidney disease, a genetic form of chronic kidney disease known as polycystic kidney disease, a disease that took my father's life in his early 40s and put my brother on dialysis in his late 30s. I was told there was no treatment or cure, and I was told to come back when I got sicker. And I continued that process. I would go back to my nephrologist or a new nephrologist, and I would be told the same thing. Okay, looks good. Come back when you get sicker. It felt as though I was being chased by a train, and while I felt I could stay ahead of the locomotive because I was still healthy, I had no sense of direction. Do you have a sense of direction right now? What's chasing you? Is it your job? Do you feel satisfied where you work right now? Do you feel satisfied if you own your own business? Do you feel satisfied with those contributions and those successes? Are you honored and appreciated? If you're retired, how are you spending your time? Do you feel that it would be best for you to spend more time back in a place that you could interact with other people? Are you enjoying what you're doing right now? Is it making sense? Is it fitting your life's purpose? How about your relationships? How are those working for you? Close relationships, colleagues, extended family. Do you feel a connection? Do you feel that there is a win-win balance in those relationships? And how about your lifestyle? When you wake up in the morning, do you feel like, great, another day, an opportunity to explore, an opportunity to excel? Or are you waking up and not really waking up, but pausing the alarm, asking it to go away, to leave you alone so you can sleep a little longer, not looking forward to the day? And if not, why not? What could you do today that could change your outlook on life? And how are you connected to social, society interactions? Do you belong to organizations, to groups? Are you involved in events? How are you giving back to the world? Do you feel that these areas are lacking? Do you feel that something's chasing you, or are you chasing it? Are you chasing your goals? Are you chasing your dreams? I hope that's the case, and if not, let's do something about it. For me, my life felt like the beads of sand. After I received that diagnosis, and for many years thereafter, it felt like my life represented the beads of sand sifting through an hourglass, and each bead that dropped represented a moment of my life wasting away, one after another. I had to get unstuck. Are you stuck? Do you feel like you're wasting your time? You don't have to have a disease or a hopeless prognosis to get unstuck. You might even be in a pretty good situation right now. Your relationships, your job, your interactions, all of that might be pretty darn good. You might be thinking, why am I sitting in this course? Well, what could you do today to make sure the good of today is sustained? That's what I ask you to take a look at. This is an investment. You don't just say, wow, my life is good, it's always been good, or it's good right now. Don't rock the boat. Well, I'm not asking you to rock the boat, but I'm asking you to look a little deeper. To look a little deeper at what you have right now, good or bad, great or not so great? And what could you do today to secure, if it is pretty great, the greatness of what you have? And if it's not so great, what could you do today to make it better? I had to refuse to let my disease dictate my future. I had to do some muscle building. That's right. I had to build up my courage, I had to build up my commitment, and I had to build up my level of determination. I had to become a more determined individual, working a plan to secure a better outcome. I had to have a breakdown. I was seeking a breakthrough, and I don't mean an emotional breakdown, but I had to break down the barriers. I had to examine if, in fact, I was brainwashed by my own doing, perhaps. Brainwashed to believe there was nothing I could do. Well, I was somewhat brainwashed to believe there was nothing I could do. And I did somewhat basically think that I couldn't change anything. Do you think you can't change your situation right now? If so, why? And is that true? And peel the onion some more and find out if that really is a true statement, even if you've been told there's something you can't change. Perhaps you can change the outcome. Like, I couldn't make my disease go away. I knew that that disease was there for the long run. But what I was hoping to do was to replace my fear with proaction. And that's exactly what I did. I took a hopeless situation, and if you have a hopeless situation right now, I'm going to ask you to remove the barriers and create a metamorphosis so that you could have the transformation that's needed to cause this shift. I had inner dialogues with myself. I don't know how many of you talk to yourself, or show of hands if you're in a classroom setting. Look to your right or left, look around the table. Anybody raising their hands? I think everyone should be raising their hands because we all talk to ourselves. And if you're saying, no, hand's not up, I don't talk to myself, I'm going to bust you, because right now you are saying to yourself, I'm not going to raise my hand, I don't talk to myself. You're talking to yourself right now. We all talk to ourselves. But what are we saying? When you get to be more aware, when you choose to be more aware of those dialogues, you can have some brilliant brainstorming with yourself. Brilliant brainstorming not only with yourself, but if you can seek mentors, if you can seek individuals that you admire and interview them like I did, you can catapult your path through their wisdom. And that's what I hope this course will do for you. What's monopolizing your thoughts? I had a conversation with my brother not long ago, and I remember during that telephone conversation he said, gosh, Risa, I hate to admit it, but boy, I am constantly in a state of worry about the economy. I was constantly in a state of worry about being hooked up to a dialysis machine one day. And as each day passed, I thought that day was getting closer. I literally felt that I was sleepwalking my way to dialysis. And I had to wake up. I had to change, just as I encouraged my brother to do. We have to shift the energy of worry into proactive, productive attempts to carve a better path for ourselves. We need to expose the unwise wizard. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Pay attention to the man behind the curtain and every voice in your head. Fear is often an illusion. And we're creating that illusion. We're allowing that illusion to absorb into our pores. Pull back that curtain. Know that that's just a voice of a man on a microphone. Know that that's just a voice in your head that maybe was planted there long ago for whatever reason. Maybe it was protecting you as a child, but it's not serving your best interest today. Look at your road signs. Pay attention to the road signs. Are you at the cross section of lazy and nonchalant? By the way, this is not a photoshopped image. This is an actual photo of an intersection just a stone's throw from my home office. I live on the Carefree side of Scottsdale. That was Carefree side of Scottsdale. That's the name of the town, Carefree. And this intersection is representative of many signs in Carefree, Arizona. Lazy and nonchalant. Is that where you are? Do you lack a sense of urgency? Are you in a comfort zone so cozy? Even if it's not perfect, it's just so cozy, it's just so easy, it's just you just don't want to take any more time or effort You'll just accept what you have. Could be worse, right? It could be better too, I bet. So create your own sense of urgency. Why don't you explore and uncover and redirect your focus so that you can execute a new path for a better life? Do you think fate is by chance or by happenstance? I say no chance. I think that fate is a result of proactive intention, sincere effort, intelligent direction, and skillful execution. It is the result that represents the wise choice of many alternatives. Don't you agree? Think about that. The wise choice of many alternatives. And think about that word choice, because we have a lot of choices. We don't take advantage of those choices. We feel that we're oftentimes locked into a mold and that we have to follow a particular path. But when we start looking outside that path and we start exploring and uncovering opportunity, then choice reveals itself to us, and we need to take advantage of those choices. As Elmer Letterman said, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Preparation, opportunity, proactive behavior, opportunity might make you feel like you're pretty lucky if you could take advantage of opportunity when you're more prepared to do so. So the first tip is to be proactive. If you wait for circumstances to dictate themselves, then you're going to be reactive and you'll lose your opportunity to choose to be proactive. Second tip, be inquisitive. Ask all the questions. Don't accept everything you've heard or see or everything you're told as the end-all be-all. Be inquisitive. Peel the onion. Be childlike. Choose wisely. Be conscious of your choices. Consciously choose and make decisions. Did you know that over 40% of the things that we do on a daily basis are done through unconscious habits, not conscious decisions? Whew. We need to wake up, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. Here's a choice opportunity. Are we reacting by habit, or are we reacting through purpose-filled, conscious intention so that we can make wise decisions? Are you cycling like I was? Have you cycled in the past? Let's just imagine your life right here on the screen. You are here. You're in that little box right there, right? That's your whole life. And now you have an opportunity to do what I call shift. It's a shift point opportunity. Let's just use this course as an example. This course is an opportunity for you to shift your point of view, shift your point and position in life, in whatever you choose. And you react to the information in this course, like I have to many courses, by habit, which is where I will take great information and put it into my great information and great ideas file, and then file that into my great ideas file drawer, and hope that I'll get back to that great ideas file one day, which I rarely do. When I do, it's usually months and months, maybe even years later, where I go, that's right, I remember this course, but I really don't remember that much of the course, so the notes really don't make a whole lot of sense. So I didn't execute a plan based on anything that I thought I would at the time of taking the course. So I'm going to encourage you to do that. Don't stick those notes in a file, or history will repeat itself. You'll be back to the same place you are right now if we don't ever take anything we learn, anything we hear, anything that brings opportunity your way, and a choice point to shift. If we don't execute that opportunity, we'll be back to where we are. We'll be doing the same thing over and over again, as temporary insanity can be easily defined as doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Sound familiar? Yeah, sounds very familiar. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. I'm going to go on a diet. I'm going to lose some weight. And then I don't change my behavior in terms of the way I'm eating. And I get on the scale and go, I haven't lost any weight. This stupid diet doesn't work. No, this person isn't consciously eating. I was consciously eating on the diet, and then I was unconsciously filling in between. meals. And then I found myself not surprised when the scale didn't change. Third tip, examine your options. I want you to look at what else, think about all the other things you could do. What else could I do? That's why I asked myself, what else could I do? Is there a workaround? There's got to be something else I can do than just wait and watch. Wait and watch myself get sicker. It didn't make sense. How could I wait and watch myself get sicker? Is there an alternative? Is there an alternative to dialysis? Yeah, there's transplant, but nobody's really talking much about that. Maybe I need to find out the difference between dialysis and transplant. And let me tell you, when I did, what I discovered, oh my goodness, huge difference. And I had then gleaned at that time that if I was not proactive, if I didn't find a living kidney donor, most likely I'd be on dialysis because the wait's so long. We have to adjust our filters. What are we doing? We are distorting the truth. You might say, I don't do that. Sure you do. We all do. It helps us sleep at night. We're unconsciously distorting the truth. If we were consciously doing it, we probably wouldn't sleep. We have to stop distorting the truth. We have to stop ignoring the facts. We have to look at reality. Embrace reality and then build on that. Okay, I have chronic kidney disease. I have a disease that has no treatment or cure. I have a disease that's going to result in renal failure. There are only two options to keep me alive, dialysis and transplant. What's the difference between the two? Seems like I'm being led to dialysis. Is that the right thing for me? What's the healthiest option? What's the lifestyle choice option? What is going to give me the best outcome? What's going to allow me to live my best life possible? And how can I achieve the most successful transplant? These are the things that I had to research. These are the things I had to learn. You don't have to have a chronic kidney disease or any disease for that matter to adjust your filters. It could be your job. It could be your relationship. It could be the activities that you're involved in. It could be a number of things. You just have to make it important enough to exercise a plan that can shift your fate and bring you a better outcome. The fourth tip, I want you to take initiative. Don't wait for the next unknown event to guide you. You make the next move. The fifth tip is to investigate. You want to look at all the pros and cons. Do the Ben Franklin. Have a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle. You have the pros on one side, the cons on the others. Do not throw the baby out with the bathwater. You might see when you put the pros on one side, cons on the other, there's a heck of a lot more pros than cons. And that this is an opportunity, even though it didn't seem as such when you first started the exercise. The sixth tip is to be adventurous. Take the path less traveled. Do not follow in uniform behind everybody else before you unless you're admiring those people you're following. Look outside the boundaries and ask yourself what else you could do. What would your life look like? What would your world look like if you'd never been adventurous? Think about that for a moment. I often think about that. I think about that with my work and my health, my relationships. Starting with work, I started my career as a dental assistant. And I thought that was a wonderful career. But as it turned out, it was a job. It was a job until I was asked to teach at a university in San Francisco, a dental school. I was there for over 5 years. I learned so much while I was teaching. And while I was teaching at the dental school, I was given an opportunity to join a Fortune 500 management consulting firm. The assistant dean of continuing education picked me out of the crowd and invited me to be more adventurous. Was I scared? Oh, you bet I was. Could I have easily said no? Right, I sure could. Am I glad I took advantage of that opportunity? You bet. How did that opportunity come my way? Well, I think it had to do with the fact that I was a sponge. I wanted to learn, I wanted to grow, I wanted to excel, and I was a very loyal employee. Perhaps some of those traits were recognized. Perhaps some of you might think I was just lucky. At the time, I certainly thought I was just lucky. I remember the first time I was asked to give a presentation, scared to death. I thought I would rather die than stand up in front of a group and speak. And yet, had I never done that, I wouldn't be here today. I would not only have not been able to work for this Fortune 500 consulting company, but I wouldn't have started my own business. That's right, my entrepreneurial spirit kidnapped me after a few years of working with this company, and I set up my own consulting and speaking company after this company had changed some of their administrative protocols with the way they were providing their clients the information. So I chose to set up my own business, and that business thrived for many years. It was wildly successful, and yet I guess a shift point occurred in my life, and it was a health shift point. So while I was traveling the country speaking and consulting in a number of offices across the United States, my disease was progressing. And I had to take a second look at this career that was keeping me on the road and causing my blood pressure to increase. And I said to myself, well, maybe I want to cut back my travel schedule. Maybe I want to dive headfirst into learning a little bit more about my disease and seeing how I might be able to shift my fate. And I did. And I learned so much. And I realized, my goodness, for the amount of information I learned, and I am an inquisitive individual, I asked my doctors tons of questions, and I thought, if I didn't know what I discovered on my own, how many other patients don't know what I just found out? Because I found out some life-changing information that could secure any chronic kidney disease patient's future if they were transplant eligible. And I felt that it became my responsibility to share this information because this information wasn't being shared by the renal community, by their healthcare providers in renal, in nephrology, or even by their primary doctors. So how are they going to know any better? I felt that I found a gold mine, and it became my responsibility to reveal what was inside that treasure chest. And that's what I did. Had I not taken those opportunities, had I not taken advantage of those shift points in my life, I would be aspirating saliva out of a patient's mouth right now. Where would you be? Is that where you want to be? Are you satisfied and fulfilled? Right now, I feel that the work I do is light years ahead of where I was, and I thought I was doing some pretty important work. But I feel so much more fulfilled. I feel that what I do right now is such a better fit for the reward that I get from knowing that I'm throwing some good back into the world. I feel very grateful on this journey that I'll continue to share with you, and I think that's when I think that we as individuals that are blessed with tremendous opportunity through our proactive behaviors get to a point in our lives where we want to give back, and that's what I did. Where are you right now? How could you be more adventurous? How could you throw some good back into the world? Your seventh tip is to never settle for less. Expand your level of expectancy. Let's begin a 9-step program to shift your fate through the power of intention. That's right. You ready? 9 steps. Here we go. Step 1, I want you to create an intention statement. You might say, well, what's that? Well, it's basically a written statement that accentuates what you want to achieve in life. So you might say, okay, well, maybe I'll just write out my goals, right? Well, yeah, sort of, but we're going to take it a little further. We're going to be a little bit more creative. Step 2, I want you to imagine that you've already achieved your goals. So when you're writing that out, you're actually writing it out, not what you want, but what you have. So you've already broke the ribbon. You've already finished the race. You're the first one out. You have the medal in your hand, holding that trophy, and you now believe that what you want is possible because you've already achieved it. That might be a stretch for most of you. It's normal if you feel that, oh boy, that's a hard thing to wrap my brain around. Sure, it is a hard thing. So start playing a movie. Play a movie in your mind. Make it into a movie. Maybe that'll be easier for you to imagine. Make it into a movie so that you can see yourself crossing the finish line. Now I'm using that as an analogy. See yourself obtaining that which you seek. Play that movie over and over again until it becomes more real. And even if it isn't quite real yet, at least your memory is recording the movie. And while you're recording the movie, your mind can now feel that this is possible because it's seen it before. Step 4, I want you to view the movie. Every time you view that movie, I want you to think to yourself, this is a true accounting of my real life experience. This isn't a fantasy. This isn't a movie where I went to the theater. This is me. This is my life. And what would my life look like if I had achieved the goals that I seek? So you're seeing yourself. You've already achieved those goals. Now I want you to see yourself in that role and pledge to view it as a true accounting of a real life experience. We're kind of tricking the mind a little bit here. And somebody might say, oh, I could never do that. Well, give it a try. What do you have to lose? Step outside your comfort zone. Step 5, with each viewing, I want you to summon a feeling of immense gratitude. That's right, immense gratitude. Well, why wouldn't you be grateful, right? You've achieved, you've attracted that which you're seeking. You now have this incredible life, or situation has improved because you have what you were hoping to have. If it's a relationship, your relationship's awesome now. If it's your job, you've either had some communication with your higher ups. If it's your own business, you've made some changes, or maybe you even changed your career. Maybe you stepped out from where you are right now and said, I'm going to look at something else. Whatever it is, whatever you've done, whatever you achieved, feel the immense sense of gratitude you get from achieving those goals. Because you've already achieved them, right? You're not hoping, you're not hanging on a prayer, you already have what you want. And feel the gratitude. Just imagine that. Imagine what it would feel like if you already had the things that you seek, the things that you hope to achieve in your life. What would that feel like? Certainly you can drum up some gratitude. Step 6, I want you to write down those feelings. I want you to write down what you're feeling. I want you to write down the vision of what you've achieved. And if need be, you can create it into a screenplay of your life, a screenplay of your life right now, achieving the goals that you hope to achieve. And then I want you to post your screenplay on the bathroom mirror so you see it every day when you wake up. And you want to take it another step further, you could capture yourself speaking to a camera, a video camera, or even your phone if it has video on it, whatever works for you, or a tape recording so you at least have audio and video, and you can hear yourself saying the words that you are grateful for achieving X, Y, and Z. You fill in the blanks. You fill in what it is that you hope to achieve, but you fill it in as if you've already achieved it. And then you watch the playback of that recording or read the words that you wrote, conditioning our mind to believe that it's not only possible, it's happened. And when it's happened, it's more than possible because you already have that which you seek. I know it could be a stretch for some of you, but trust me on this one. Powerful steps. Now, while you're working on that, because that's going to take a little bit of time. That's right, it's going to take a little bit of time. These things don't come just, they build Rome in a day, then you're not going to shift your fate in a moment's notice. But while you're working on that, I want you to supercharge your process by making this bigger than yourself. Think about that for a moment. Step 7, connect to a higher purpose. Help others in any way that you can. That's what I did. That's what others are doing, and that's what you can do too. Specifically what I did, because I was so concerned about all the patients waiting on the transplant list. And I felt that I needed to get a message out. So let me just communicate some facts to you so you could understand where I was coming from. Case in point, as of January of this year, there's over 116,000 people waiting on the national transplant list, waiting for an organ. Of those, 82% of them, 95,000, are waiting for a kidney. Whew! 82% of the whole waiting for a kidney. Waiting an average of 45 years. Some states you have to wait 8 to 9 years. Can you imagine needing a kidney today? and you have to even wait a week or two? How about a year? How about several years? Well, what does that mean? You'll be on dialysis while you're waiting, and you'll be hoping you can survive the wait. Well, let's do the math, just to give you another perspective here. In the United States, on an annual basis, 2.4 million people die every year. Only 15,000 of those qualify to be donors, to be organ donors. So you've got 2.4 million people dying every year. Of the 2.4 million, only 15,000 of those would even qualify to be a donor if they were consented. However, only a third of the 15,000 individuals that qualify are consented donors. So now we're really breaking it down that we only have about 5,000 consented donors in the United States. So in the kidney world, we have 12 people dying every day while waiting for a kidney. You know we have 95,000 people on the list right now, and names are added daily, and names are removed as well through unfortunate circumstances like death. Some are removed because they do get the call. But as you can see, supply cannot meet demand. And so my calling to connect to a greater purpose, my calling to help others, was to make a difference by increasing awareness. I wanted to abolish the wait list for those that need a kidney, for at least those that needed a kidney, because in the kidney world, you could be a living kidney donor. So for someone who needs a kidney, they don't have to depend just on the deceased kidney donor list. And I wanted to increase awareness in living kidney donation so that I could hopefully save lives. And I thought if 12 were dying a day, even if I could save one of those 12, of course, ultimately, I'd like to save all 12 of them. We only need about 0.3% of our population to step up to the plate, to say, hey, I'm a healthy person. I want to be a hero. I want to save someone's life. I know that I can live with just one kidney, providing I can get through the tests, and of course the center that is going to be performing the transplant approves you to do so, that I can make a difference. I want to give back in this world, but I didn't even know that I could do this while I was living. I thought you had to be dead to donate. I'm a donor on my card. I didn't realize that I could do something like this while I was living. I thought I had to be related to the person in need. No, you don't. But you do have to be blood type compatible, and you do have to be healthy enough and pass the tests so that you could be healthy enough to endure the surgery and live with one kidney. As many donors said, hey, that's why God gave me two, so I could give one to you. And just precious words and just a real heartfelt statement that's valued by all of those of us that are recipients. I also wanted to help potential recipients. I wanted to help the chronic kidney disease patients recognize their choices and recognize the value in choosing transplant and choosing preemptive transplant through a living kidney donor. You may not be aware of this. I certainly wasn't, and this is something I wanted to share with the masses, and that is that living kidney donors can offer double the years of function. Usually a deceased kidney donor offers somewhere to 10 to 12 years of kidney function through the kidney that's donated and transplanted, where a living kidney donor can offer 20 years, maybe more. You also have the benefit of a living kidney donor's kidney functioning immediately once transplanted and hooked up. This prevents what is often known as sleepy kidney when you are receiving a kidney from a deceased organ donor, because the deceased organ donor kidney is not transplanted immediately, and the kidney can go into shock and be a little bit what they call sleepy, and that requires the patient to go on dialysis if the kidney is not functioning right away. So that's a great benefit to have immediate function and know that the transplant is successful right from the get-go. You also can end your wait. You're no longer on the list. You have to be on the list to have a transplant, but you can take yourself off the list when you have an approved living kidney donor. So all those weight restrictions no longer apply. You also have the opportunity to bypass dialysis. And that, of course, isn't the ultimate goal. So you can have what's called a preemptive transplant, a transplant before the need for dialysis. And last but certainly not least, the benefit that touches my heart greatly, because it was a way for me to pay it forward, was to give someone else your place in line. The ability to give someone else your place in line when you take yourself off the list because you have a living kidney donor. You're no longer dependent on a deceased organ donation. And that is what I was able to do because of the greatness, because of the heroic efforts and selfless spirit of Melissa Blevins-Bean, my hero, my living kidney donor. Melissa came into my life while I was going through the process. Melissa's a nurse and the hospital administrator for Mayo Clinic, Phoenix, Arizona, in the transplant department. We met on several occasions because I wanted to speak with somebody in administration so that I could better understand the process for donors, because I was starting to develop a lot of educational materials for other chronic kidney disease patients at the time. And we connected on a level like no other. As Melissa says, we were kindred spirits from the get-go. Now, I'm not so sure if I knew that. I did know that I was so excited when we met, and I felt that I met somebody very special. Someone with a heart. Someone who understood the process and had deep passion for improving outcomes. And when she communicated this offer to me, it was like the movie in my mind played out exactly the way the movie played in my intention statement. But I must tell you, this didn't happen right away. This movie that I created didn't play out this way. For over a year, I had created my intention statement, and I was attracting potential donors that were testing healthy, young. We never in a million years thought any of them would be disqualified. And I went back to my intention statement. I said, why am I attracting donors, but I'm attracting the wrong ones? What have I done wrong? What am I not seeing? What am I not communicating? What am I not believing? And I had an epiphany. I realized that I had not qualified the type of donor that I had attracted into my life. I did not qualify my ideal donor. I did not see that donor tested, approved, surgery scheduled. I did not see us post-surgery thriving. And that's what I did 10 days before Melissa's offer. That's what I did, knowing that somebody great was going to come into my life, this ideal donor. But I never again in a million years thought it was going to be Melissa. I was meeting with Melissa for another reason. But I was open. I was open to whatever could come my way because I believed that it was possible. And I felt I was onto something big. And sure enough, I don't know how much higher you could get when you talk about an amazing, incredible offer from an amazing, incredible person. Someone who's running the transplant department. I mean, you might say, oh my gosh, this is a fairy tale. Well, maybe fairy tale come true through the power of intention, my friends. It was just an amazing experience. She knew she was going to be tested and approved after testing. I felt the same. I don't know what it is. I don't know why we both felt that way, but it was sort of an uncanny confidence that when she offered and I accepted, that it was just going to go smoothly from that point forward, and sure enough it did. And you know, that kindred spirit thing we felt early on, well, the lab proved it to be true, because our cross-match test for compatibility showed that we were as compatible as siblings, sister-like. I mean, this is not somebody you might say, okay, she's been your lifelong friend. No, she's related to you. No, she is your sister. No, but she's like a sister now. No doubt about that, eh? She's family. And I will be forever grateful for her selfless spirit of stepping up to the plate and saying, I can do this and I'm going to do it for you. And at the time that she was able to do it for me. So I didn't have to get on to dialysis, and I did have a preemptive transplant. I had an epiphany looking back, playing this movie back. I had an epiphany before the movie played that I didn't have to wait idly. I didn't have to wait to get sicker like I was told by all my doctors. I didn't have to wait and bank on other people dying before my life could be saved. I didn't have to wait for other people to die before I did. Such a morbid thought. I could be more proactive. I could create a new plan. I could execute that plan. And I could, through the power of intention, actualize my dreams. And Melissa changed my life. And Melissa proved my theories right. And Melissa, and through this power of attention, is proving that this theory of belief, and by throwing yourself into a mode of seeing yourself achieving that which you seek, is a very powerful process. What's your epiphany? What's nagging at you right now? Is it your job? Is it your career? Is it your health, fitness, financial security? Is it your love life, your family, your friends, contributions to society? What's your epiphany right now? What's your takeaway? What could you do today to create a better tomorrow? Be your own crystal ball and know that now is the time to execute a plan. Put a moratorium on procrastination. As Mark Twain once said, I was seldom able to see an opportunity until it had ceased to be one. Sound familiar? Should have, could have, but now I can't. Because the opportunity, and in my particular case, I could have been hooked up to a dialysis machine and not been able to take advantage of this preemptive transplant, which is far superior than a transplant after dialysis. So I had a living kidney donor. I had no history with dialysis. I was the healthiest person I could possibly be on that operating table so that I could have a great bounce back factor going for me. And the surgery, I should say our surgeries, were wildly successful. And my new kidney, which I've named MAC, an acronym, MAK, standing for Melissa's Amazing Kidney, is truly amazing, functioning like a normal person with 2 kidneys, and giving me such joy and filling my heart with such gratitude. I want you to throw out all the excuses, okay? Today's the day we're going to start. You're your own crystal ball. Today's the day. We're starting now. Throw out the excuses. What are those excuses? Oh, I had no choice. Throw that out. Didn't know any better. Well, I could have used that one clearly, right? Throw that out. It's too much work. Well, yeah, it's going to take some work, so forget that one. I'm not going to buy into that one. Nope, you got to put a little work in to get something in return. Let's just see how it goes. Let's just see how it goes. Throw that out. By that time, you'll have lost your opportunity to take advantage of a choice. Step 9, refuse to give away your power of choice. That's what I was doing when I was told just to come back when I got sicker. But I put an end to that insanity, and I hope you will too. No matter what you've been told or what you believe, and even if you've read it in a book and you see it on the internet and you've researched it, look a little further. Expand your level of expectancy. Expand your view of opportunity. You will be very surprised what you get in return. Choose wisely your power of choice. You can choose to be happy, you can choose to be healthy, you can choose to be deserving, and you can choose to be grateful. I want you to flirt. That's right, let's kickstart this right now by flirting. I want you to start flirting with the notion that you are on the verge of creating something powerful. In fact, if you're already putting these steps into action, you're flirting with yourself, feeling pretty confident, pretty sassy that you've already achieved that which you're seeking. But just right now, for this very moment, since you haven't really worked the plan yet other than sitting through this program, just start flirting. Give yourself a wink. Give yourself a wink and just think to yourself, wow, I'm onto something powerful. I'm onto something powerful. And that in and of itself is going to rev up your engine so that you can achieve your goals. Flirt with the notion that you can shift your fate, just like I did. Melissa came into my life and transformed my reality. Melissa came into my life And while I didn't know who was playing that role, I had played that movie. My ideal donor had revealed herself to me. I just didn't know it was going to be Melissa. And once she came forward and once she made that offer, and of course once she was tested and approved and the surgeries took place, seeing Melissa in that role before and after surgery made everything I worked for, made everything I'm sharing with you more real, more powerful. So know that you do have the power to shift your fate. And you know that train that was chasing me? Well, it actually wasn't a train chasing me after all. It was just the whistle blowing on that locomotive to wake me up, to cause me to shift tracks, to get myself off of that track where I was heading down a path that was leading to a dead-end road. That whistle was blowing to wake me up, to alarm me, to look outside that track, to look outside the grooves of that track, and to get myself on a more proactive path. And that's exactly what I did, and that's exactly what I want you to do. What alarm is going off for you? Do you hear a whistle blowing? Is it time to wake up? Are you sleepwalking your way down a path that's not serving your best needs? You now have an opportunity to secure your best life possible. You now have an opportunity to shift your fate if you choose to execute the plan presented in this program. It has been my esteemed pleasure to present to you today. Thank you for joining me. It is my sincere hope that the tools and the systems, the tips and the steps will set you free, will put you on a more proactive path so that you too can shift your fate and live your best life possible. Shoot me an email. I'd love to hear how you're doing. And if you want access to the book, you can certainly find it on Amazon through the paperback or Kindle version or through the shiftyourfate.com website. Again, I wish you the best on your journey and on this proactive path to a better tomorrow. God bless and Godspeed.
Did make a handout, and for your 9-step program to shift your fate, I actually gave them those 9 steps with some lines under each one so they could take notes. And along with that is a link to your website, a mention of your book, and so they have all that in hard copy to take with them today. And
thank you for that. You're hired.
now, I'll tell you what, while Maureen's not here, and then we'll introduce her when she comes in. You go around the room and have people introduce themselves nice and loud so she can hear you. Hank, why don't we start with you, who you are, why you're here, and your quick background.
Hi, Risa.
Can you hear him okay, Risa?
I can. Thank
Good.
you.
My name is Hank Gross. I'm here because I had a heart transplant, which is the way I entered the transplant community. I didn't know when I was told I would need one when I was diagnosed with idiopathic dilated cardiomyopathy. I thought it was a death sentence because all I knew was 6,000 people a year needed a heart and only 2,000 people got one. And I don't know, I'm not sure what else to say.
When did you get your transplant?
I got my transplant, I just had my 5th birthday, February 22nd.
Okay.
Wow. Congratulations.
Oh yeah, I have chronic kidney disease. I only have one kidney.
Oh.
Left that out.
Say that again one more time.
Yeah, I have chronic kidney disease. I only have one kidney. In 2009, I qualified for the transplant list, but fortunately I saw a new nephrologist and got my medications changed, and I've been doing much better.
So were you born with just one? Or did
No,
you
I had cancer and
Okay.
it was removed.
Okay. And Ida?
So I've been going through all this with him.
I'm sorry, you have to introduce who you are. She doesn't know who you are.
Oh, I'm sorry, Risa. Okay, my name is Ina, I-N-A, and I'm a caregiver for her.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And It all started a long time ago, and thank God it never ends.
That's a good thing.
They do.
And her job has been much harder than mine, because all I had to concentrate on was what I needed to do to stay alive, whereas Ina was taking care of her mother, who's now deceased, but had dementia, as well as visiting me in the hospital or taking care of me when I was home, working full-time. It goes managing the house on and on and on.
Ina, what was your career that you were
It's been a
working?
hard road. I had to give up teaching in order for Hank to get the heart,
Okay.
because
What did you teach?
I taught middle school.
Okay.
I taught in grade school, and I taught mostly adults and juveniles.
Okay. Now, what would you say, from a caregiver standpoint, was the toughest part of the role for you as he was going through these things? And your
The
mother,
ups and
too.
downs, and always waiting for the next, shoe to drop, but I knew, that everybody keeps telling me, well, he's got 6 months, he's got 18 months, he's got this, that, and that was like 12 years ago.
Okay.
So it's been transplant, a kidney, an artificial heart device, and
Right.
all that. The man is like the Energizer bunny. So,
How did you survive all that?
I have, it's hard. It's really very difficult. And you just take it one day at a time and try to live, really, it sounds so trite, but you try to live each day as if it was the last day.
Okay.
And I think love, I think she just cares for me so much. She probably needs treatment from a psychiatrist for that, but that's her problem.
Yeah, that's really,
All right, we're swinging around to
That's not
Maureen. Maureen, why don't
Before
you? Yes.
Maureen, do you mind, Jim? I needed just a little clarification. If I could go back to Hank and Ina, your story is amazing. My taking care of Hank and all these, juggling all these other things in your life. Can you please clarify for me? I understand you've had your heart for 5 years, correct?
Yes,
And then you said you have one kidney. Did you say that was your very own and you're doing fine with that? You've never had a transplanted kidney. This is your own native kidney, correct?
yes, that's correct.
Okay, great. And your function with that single kidney?
But the
is-
problem was that the immunosuppressants for my heart,
Right.
I was turned down for a heart transplant by another hospital because I had a very rare form of cancer, which is why I lost my kidney.
Oh,
And so I just went to another hospital.
smart.
There's nothing wrong
That's
with
really
it.
what it's all about, is not taking no for...
Well, that's one of the
That is
things
not
that,
necessarily the end-all be-all, so good for you. It obviously
Yeah.
saved your life and is giving you quality of life.
well, that's what struck, one of the things that struck me about your presentation, that I don't really quite understand the passivity. I've had over 20 hospitalizations, and I don't understand the passivity of some of the patients that I've met. And the part that you said about investigation, I'm still investigating because I have inoperable lung cancer currently. And so, and I've had radiation for that, and 4 different bouts of chemo, and, CyberKnife treatment. And I just, if you just sit there and let people do things to you, of course you're gonna die, unless you're very, very lucky.
Right.
Now, I gotta say, Risa, I've known Hank and Ina for a while, and I don't know any of this, because he just goes on living normal. If you were here, you wouldn't know he was a transplant recipient, unless we opened up and shared his story, as he's doing right now. And so I knew about his heart transplant, certainly didn't know about all these other surgeries and other challenges he's going through, because he just sails with them, and Ina's in the background suffering with him.
Oh, it's not that bad. He's
But
pretty funny guys.
I think you hit upon it. Love. Love overcomes a lot of challenges,
yes.
and she's not gonna let you
And
go.
faith,
Yeah.
it's just reaching for the stars there. And, you obviously have an incredible internal mechanism to keep you guys strong and moving forward.
And our daughter has been a big part of it too. I didn't want to leave my wife, and I didn't want to leave my daughter, and whenever she could, that was my biggest fear when I would wind up in the emergency room every once in a while. It's like, can she get here from New York City? And am I going to get a chance to see her if this is the end?
So you're talking about you had a purpose for living.
Yeah.
Take that purpose away and it's not worth fighting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to. Really
Amazing. Risa, did you have any other questions before I move on?
Don't you think that purpose gets even stronger? I mean, when we reflect retrospectively, now that you've received the gift of life, and I think those of you that have received a heart are extra special. But isn't it interesting how after you've gone through this process, life just doesn't look the same, doesn't feel the same, and just that internal gratitude after that is ignited just is
absolutely. It's been a tremendous gift. I don't want to go into what was going on prior to getting sick, but I kind of conceptualize it as I was so dumb I couldn't figure out a way to get out of the life that I was living. Other than getting so sick that I couldn't live that life anymore. And I wish I could have had the appreciation for every single nanosecond that I have now, that I didn't have to go through what we've been through to get there. And I think that's a problem. That's why your presentation is so important, because that's a problem that a lot of people have. You can't see your way out of the woods.
We're going to move. Anita, did you want to add something to that?
No, I was just thinking about the inspirational aspect that Hank was just mentioning. And I second that.
Okay. We'll have more chance for discussion later. I'm just trying to introduce everybody.
I'm Maureen Sweeney. I had a complicated heart double lung transplant 11 years ago at the hospital at the University of Pennsylvania. I left my home in April of 2001, and I didn't get back home till close to the next April of 2002. So I know what it's like to live in a hospital. I've had hospital psychosis.
She's one of our major heroes, heart and lung.
And I was the first heart double lung to walk out of the hospital at the University of Pennsylvania.
No kidding.
So the nurses called me.
What year?
2000 well, I went to a subacute center for about 2 months. They had to wean me off a ventilator.
Right, but what year did you get your transplant?
2001, August 31st, 2001.
Okay.
Good evening, Risa. Thank you very much for that presentation.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Steve. Thanks for showing up.
I'm going to be leaving here thinking about it and a little skip in my walk.
We like that.
Yes, I did. My name is Steve White. I had a heart transplant November 4th, 08, and I've never looked back since. It's been fantastic. Haven't had a bad day since then. Had a lot before that, but not since then.
And you got your transplant
What
where?
was the last line? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Oh, I haven't had a bad day since the transplant, but I had a couple before it.
Yes.
But just feeling great, and
Wait to that.
basically went back to work the week after I got out of the hospital.
No kidding.
Felt that great.
Awesome.
And how many years have it been now, Steve?
It's been 4 years now, going on my 5th year.
And again, Risa, I wish you were here in the room. You'll see this video when I get it done.
Oh, wonderful.
But again, there's nobody in this room that you would guess. If this was that old program, what was your career or whatever that was, you'd never guess anybody in here had a transplant. And Steve's a good example of that. 1 week after heart transplant, going back to work. Picture that.
That's amazing.
So sometimes it's
You taught
mother
me
necessity.
by weeks and I'd say a few months there, definitely, Steve.
And just by way of introducing this on the camera, I'm Jim Gleason, and I had my heart transplant going on 19 years ago. And it's my pleasure to represent several organizations that sponsor these kind of presentations. And this is the first time we've had this kind of technology, and I got to tell you, Risa, you did a great job, and this is coming out great. And I can't wait to see it all put together and send it back to you so you can see what it was like on this end. So with that, why don't you did introduce yourself in the presentation. Is there anything you'd like to add to explain who you are?
Well, first let me at least thank you, Jim, for the opportunity to not only encourage me to develop this customized program that would apply to anyone, not just someone in need of a kidney, specifically a kidney or any organ for that matter. So I so appreciate that inspiration and also the opportunity to put this into your library and allow for this webinar to occur tonight. I'm thrilled. I don't know what kind of weather you guys are having. I'm here in North Scottsdale, Arizona, on the carefree side of Scottsdale, and our weather is glorious. So I know some weather was getting out and just the East Coast. I don't know if it's north of you and if it was rough driving in, but thank you all for showing up. I think you guys pretty much know my story. In addition to being a presenter and an author of Shift Your Fate and a couple other books, I'm also a mentor for the National Kidney Foundation. I'm assigned individuals that call into the foundation that feel somewhat lost and feel they really aren't getting some good guidance from their providers. Surprise, surprise. Outside of just some medical information, when you deal with the emotional side of the human spirit, and also encouragement just to pick yourself up by your bootstraps and say, hey, what is the alternative here? So that has been a really wonderful thing that I'm doing as far as the percentage of time that I give back. I also do private coaching to individuals that want to get involved in the coaching sessions that we offer. And I have been, my history I think was shared in the program, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. I have over 2.5 decades of experience as a practice management consultant and speaker in the dental profession. So when I shifted, I stayed in healthcare, but I went from teeth to kidneys. So from dental to renal. And as Hank was sharing his story, and I know was sharing her view and her participation in caring for Hank and the other things in her life, and I'm reminded that, those of us that have gone through some hard times, harder than you ever imagined, and you came back on the other end, and for me, and I think many of you, that side's looking even better than the side before, because I think we've become stronger individuals, and we do see the glass being half full and not half empty. I personally wouldn't, if I had an opportunity, if someone said, hey, I'm going to take this genetic kidney disease away from you and you'll never have to deal with it today. As a young person, I'd probably say, great, take it, thank you, what a blessing. But today, I'm grateful that I had the experience, and I don't think that my life would be better without it. I clearly believe that my life is much better because of it, and the experience of being a recipient, for those of you that are, it's just, it's world-changing. And so I'm grateful, and I think it's led me down the path where I'm supposed to be. I'm a big believer that everything happens for a reason. There are no coincidences, and I think that's probably even true as to how I met you, Jim.
Well, it's funny you should say that.
It's not a coincidence. So thank you for the opportunity tonight.
We certainly, in our conversation leading up to this, speaking to the audience here, found kindred spirits. I mean, everything she was doing and her adventuresome, even in technology, so matched my own. And it was funny, she was sharing that just the other day, and I just came off a presentation up on one of the heart wards at the hospital with the staff up there. And the head of the program came in toward the end. The head of the whole vascular heart transplant program came in, and she was going to be the next speaker. And so we opened up question and answers, and she turned around and said, Jim, she said, let me ask you a question. And she's known me probably for 15 years now. She said, looking back, what would you change from anything that's happened in your experience with all this? And I gave it some quick thought, and I turned to her, I said, I wouldn't change a single thing. So just as you just said, Risa, you can take anything and your reaction to it makes all the difference in the world. And we're sitting here with a room full of people who are epitomizing that, taking the lemon, making lemonade, and saying this tastes good, you know? And so with that, let's open up to anybody have any questions for Risa. Kind of an interesting opportunity to talk to Arizona tonight, and with that presentation, which had a lot of very thoughtful stuff in it that I hope people are going to take home and really reflect on, especially with the handout with the 9 steps there. But I also have your book here, Risa, so that they can see the book is available. This is really talking more on the kidney side of things, promoting transplantation versus dialysis. Hank, Ina, any questions or comments that you'd like to share with her?
Not a fan. I mean, I enjoyed it.
Inspirational.
Maureen, how about yourself? You always have some questions.
I have a kidney condition too. I was on dialysis for 2 months after my transplant, and one of my doctors made a joke that they'd go back to church if I got my kidney function back. Well, I did. I asked them later.
Did you go back?
Huh?
Did you go back?
They said no. I said, you shouldn't talk about your patients like that. It was a jokester. So they did that to make me laugh.
Were you supposed to go back to church or him?
Is it back to
The
normal?
doctor.
Did you have your person, or?
It was the doctor that was supposed to go back to. If it all worked out, the doctor was going back to church.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But he was saying that if your function came back, he would go back to church,
My
right?
kidney function came back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so your function came back, and is it back and sustaining at a healthy level, not showing any signs of any
Well,
issues?
I right now, I have a good kidney doctor, and I have 45% kidney function.
Oh, okay.
And I'm on a low protein diet, like 100 milligrams a day.
Got it.
So I'm.
Are they telling you that this is something that is going to remain at just a lower level for the rest of your life?
I don't know. I think when I see him next, I'll ask him.
Yeah. Ask him if he has the
Just
crystal
in
ball.
case, I should start scouting out donors now.
Good girl, have your backup plan because you may, blink and they say something that you least expected.
Okay.
Because, my doctor, in addition to saying come back when you got sicker, I was really sort of pushing forward and, the whole idea of come back when you get sicker is like, excuse me, no, you don't get it. I don't want to get sick or sicker. But that was sort of the process. When you're sick enough to go on to dialysis, then we'll hook you up. Of course, you got to do a little surgery before that. But there wasn't any guidance as to, hey, listen, if you'd like to secure your best life possible, you better start working on a plan. When you're first diagnosed would be ideal, even though you don't even know if you'll ever need a kidney transplant. But the goal here is just to say, all right, let me be a more proactive person.
Yeah.
Let me develop a plan, and let that plan include sharing my story along the way, so that those that may feel moved by my story can be sort of hanging out for me and waiting to see if they might be a potential donor. And rather than just waking up one day and say, oh gosh, now I might need to get a little more serious about this, because you've got nothing to lose.
Okay, thanks.
Well, I'm sorry we don't have more here tonight, but one of our favorite members, in fact, I haven't shared this with the group yet, but Sue Kelchner, who is a living donor of a kidney to her husband, by the way, Risa.
Yeah?
She had a stroke the other day, mini stroke it turned out,
geez.
and so everything is fine, but they were having breakfast right across from a local hospital, Crozier Hospital, and I'm trying to think who it was with them, a daughter-in-law, I think, said, Mom, your face is drooping. She said, what are you talking about? And she went and looked in the mirror and said, huh. So her husband convinced her to come across the streets of the hospital, saying if you want to be someplace, be taken care of. I understand with strokes, the faster they can give you that medication, the less symptoms. So she was right there. They took good care of her. They kept her in overnight, did all sorts of tests, of course, and she's fine. So there's no after effects to it. And they always at our meetings, so they're not here tonight. Susan Pincus, she's got another thing going on tonight, but she's always here. She's a kidney pancreas recipient, and so she's waiting to see the video of this. And then we have a couple other people that are typically here. Elizabeth Rubin is a liver recipient, and she's leaving on a family vacation to Hawaii in the morning. And so she's going to look at the video also.
Yeah, I don't blame her. That sounds a little bit more exciting than showing up for an evening event. Did you say what your weather was looking like, Jim, or how it's been the last?
It actually has warmed up these last 2 days. It's about in the 50-degree range, and we've had drizzly rain, not bad rain, and we've been skiting through snowstorms here. We're down just outside of Philadelphia area, so we're in New Jersey, most of us. And Hank, where do you live?
In Fishtown, right here, we're like a mile away.
Okay, so we got a couple of Philadelphians here, and then a couple of us in New Jersey, but basically across the bridge. And the snowstorms this year have come in over the north, and the line has been like 20 miles north of us, and we get a little bit of rain or some flurries, and up front gets a foot of snow. So we've been getting away like bandits this year. So we've been very fortunate. But we do envy your weather out there in Arizona. Steve knows what it's like, so he's here. It looks like he's about to cry.
I wasn't trying to make you all envious.
No, it's okay.
You're right on that because, you know, in the summer, you all go, how can you live there, right? Well,
Yeah.
dry heat. Look at that dry heat, Joe, right?
Yes.
Risa, again, it has been our pleasure to have you come visit with us with this technology. I'm really impressed at your technology savvy or your adventuresomeness of going out and finding, making these things work. And it could not have worked out better, let me tell you that. Everything.
It's been a privilege, both a privilege and an honor. So I thank you for the opportunity and the invitation, and
Tell us one more.
thank everybody for showing up tonight too.
We have your book here. I have the website up on the screen, and it's on the handout. But you mentioned that you also have a business on the side here of offering consultant services to patients.
Yes.
Is there another website?
If you want to shoot me an email at risa@shiftyourfaith.com, even if they have a couple comments or questions after the program, by all means, let's stay in touch.
Okay. And let me just see. I didn't, I'm trying to see if I put that. No, it's not on the handout, so write it down. Risa@shiftyourfaith, no spaces.com.
Right. .com and Risa, R-I-S-A. Right. Just like Lisa.
Yep. Risa.
But with an R.
Lisa with an R. Lisa, thank you. Risa, now you're going to get me doing it. Risa, thank you again. Hey, listen, we're going to talk in the next day or so. I got a young fellow coming down tomorrow, so I'm going to be tied up tomorrow. He's a heart recipient from 3 years out. He's anxious to give back in many different ways, so I will be showing him your video, among other things, trying to give him some direction how he can pay back, using some of the principles you got here. But sometime shortly after that, I'll be in touch. And I think we've got other things you and I can do together, okay?
Wonderful. I look forward to it, Jim. And thank you, everyone. Drive home safe tonight.
Okay.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.